All right, welcome to the party, pals. We are in the mobile studio, live from the Mile High Wild West Hacking Fest location in Denver, Colorado. Definitely let me know that the audio is working. We did do some testing to make sure that everything runs smoothly, but let me know if there's any issues. So I'm going to go through and fly through the intro here, and then today is the big day for the Learning Styles and Wellness by Space Tacos. All right. Welcome to the party, pal, everybody. I see Third Eye Rising. We got Rhonda. We got Coco 23 Lopez. I saw 8B Oni. We got Rania. We got Lock and Key. A bunch of different people piling in and so forth. So welcome to the party, pals. And I'll go into a little bit more detail here in a moment, but let's just go ahead and go through this for a moment. So we're all here for a shared mission to just break down barriers, foster collaboration and community, working towards a more secure future. We're all in here learning together, growing together. If you guys have questions, ask, even if it doesn't pertain to what we're talking about. Worst case scenario, we'll circle back around to that. Now, our new schedule, we're working on the schedule itself, and we're seeing how everything plays out. But Monday, Tuesday, we're doing hands-on. Right now, we're doing risk register in February. Wednesdays, we're doing a technical, like more technology-based in relation to GRC as well. And then Thursdays is our primary meeting, which is 6 p.m. Central Time rather than 11 a.m. for the other 4 days of the week. And then Friday, so tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time, noon Eastern, we will have a 1 hour AMA live stage as well, which just gives everybody the opportunity to socialize, get to know each other a little bit better, ask questions, share resources, and so forth in a shorter format than like our typical stream on Thursdays. Now, the way that this is going to work is here in a moment, I'll bring Space Tacos up. She'll go through her presentation, ask your guys' questions and so forth, and we're going to mark those and we'll cover those at the end. If there's anything that we can answer, we'll go ahead and drop that at that time. But we're going to do Q&A at the end, and we'll also go ahead and open up the stage after the presentation as well. So some of the key things here is definitely feel comfortable to come up when we drop the link for the open stage. You don't have to turn on your video if you don't want to. Ask questions. If you want to share your personal LinkedIn, the best place to do that is inside of our Discord server. So if you join our Discord server, you can go into our live chat and you can share your personal LinkedIn profile or other social media and broadcast it across our platforms. One of the other things I want to mention here too is this is our primary weekly meeting on Thursday. So you guys can go into our Discord server right now. I just dropped it in chat for the badge, and you guys can collect your weekly GRC Mafia badge. What that is you just put GRC Mafia in capital letters with a space in between in our live chat, and then you get the GRC Mafia badge next to your name for the next week, just to signify that you made it to the weekly meeting. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. StudyGRC.org for our website and the rest of the platforms that we're streaming to. We also have our resources page and the calendar, which is the most up-to-date information for what's to come up. Some other really cool places to go to. So we don't really have any official partners or sponsors at this time, although we are seeking partnership at this time. Simply Cyber is an amazing place if you're not familiar. And then we also have B-Dubs, who puts out a GRC or information security related article every single Monday as well. And then most of you are probably familiar with PBO, who is streaming every single Tuesday night. He has hundreds and hundreds of videos all about GRC, coming from like a government background nonetheless. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and transition over here. The last thing I want to note is there's also this donate button. You'll see it throughout the stream as well. So we went ahead and started doing this since our State of Study GRC, because we are working on ramping up and just doing more for the community. So if you guys do choose to, we do have a donate option at this time, which 100% of that goes back to the community itself. I don't want anybody to feel too obligated with that portion though. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Space Tacos. Let me go ahead and pull her up here real quick. Welcome to the party, pal. And I'll go ahead and leave it to you. Let me know if there's any other questions.
Okay,
I look forward to seeing everybody else's responses in chat.
All right, so hi, happy Thursday, everybody. I am Space Tacos or Coach, or some people just call me Tacos. All of those are fine. And I'm going to start you off with a question. So have you ever seen the episode of Friends where Phoebe tries to teach Joey how to speak French. It's a hilarious story of he has an audition, he has lied about being fluent in French, and she's trying to get him through his lines and starts with a very simple line, "Hi, my name is Claude." And he just can't. He can't do it. He spits out nonsensical silliness, gibberish, jargon, and it's hysterical, of course. But them going through that entire process of her beating her head against the wall and him just not getting it. And she tries to take him through it slowly, and then she breaks it down into itty bitty bits, and it looks like he's gonna get it, and then he just flies off the handle and just goes sideways. So it's a hysterical lesson in what not to do in teaching or what not to do in learning. But it is really funny. If you haven't seen it, I did drop the link. There's a 4-minute cut down version of that episode. It's really funny. So when you get a chance, take a look because it cracks me up. I also like Friends. And then I mentioned that you may be wondering, why in the world is she talking about Friends and speaking French when we're supposed to be talking about learning styles? So what this has to do with you is, when you get into a position you're in cybersecurity or in any kind of business, honestly, any job, you're going to have to learn new things and learn new skills. So this is how this is going to help you out. Just so you know, most of you know who I am. I did introduce myself. But just so you know about my background, I was a coach starting in college. So I do have 20 years of coaching. I have 14 years of experience teaching. I was a health and PE teacher. I taught in America, in Germany, and in Korea. And then after I destroyed one of my legs, I went into medical coding for 5 years. And at that point, I decided it was time for me to get into IT because I didn't know I was an IT nerd until I took a certain course in school for my health information technology degree. And then over on the right side, you can see that I've got some silly names to figure out who I am. I have a very curious mind. I like to ask a lot of questions. I was the kid who would take apart the phone to figure out how it worked and then tried to and failed to put it back together. In school, I wasn't a prankster, but I did love to engage in shenanigans because they're entertaining and fun. I'm always down for a good joke, a good giggle. I like to travel when I lived overseas, and I wish I could get back to that, but that's a whole long other story. And if you don't already know, I do have several chronic illnesses. Some of them have taught me a lot of lessons that I now have to use continually, and some of them are just, a pain, and we'll leave that alone where it is. But that's kind of who I am in a nutshell. And the benefit for tonight's talk is going to help you when you find yourself in that situation of either trying to teach or trying to learn, and it's just not sticking. You can't get your brain to get a handle on it, and it's not making sense. Or maybe you spent time trying to teach someone and you're explaining it the best way you can, and it's just not making that connection. The reason we're talking about learning styles is so that, one, it'll help you teach yourself, because I know a lot in IT and cybersecurity is self-taught. There's a lot of YouTube University, there's a lot of Udemy, however you say it. There's a lot of on your own, do it yourself learning styles or learning opportunities. And then on the flip side of that, you can be in Phoebe's position on the episode of Friends where she's actually trying to teach someone. So you can find yourself trying to train someone and you're trying to explain it to them. And it's like you understand the concept and you know how it works and you know how to explain it, but for reasons you don't understand, they are just not understanding. So the reason for tonight, the benefit of tonight is if you can understand better how you learn, and if you can understand better how different people learn, you can potentially adjust how you teach or how you present information for yourself so that you can grasp that information a lot better. So there are just a quick pause, because the mindset behind this is just because you got to 9 by doing 6 and 3, but I got to 9 by doing 7 and 2, or 5 and 4 or 8 and 1 or 9 ones, we all got to the same answer. So no matter how you get there, have respect for how other people think, and it helps just in the general. Don't ever diss someone just because, well, how'd you do that? Or how'd you get that answer? That's stupid. That's so the wrong way to do that. Please don't ever engage in that. Just because the way our minds work comes from all sorts of different influences. And personally, I find them more entertaining and fascinating to learn how in the world did you come up with the same answer when you did all of this and I just did this, or the reverse case scenario where I did all of this and you got there super fast and super quick. So just to kind of set your mental status right there. Now, as far as the basic learning styles, there are 4, and they're pretty simple, and they correlate with our 4 of our 5 senses. The visual, you want to see it. I need a picture. Can you show me? Can I see it? The auditory, can you say it again? I didn't hear that. Can you repeat that? Or I need to listen to it somehow. The read and write, obviously you're going to write it down. And if you're like Jerry likes to say, you're getting gray in your beard or around the temples, I tend to make a better connection if I can write something down. Some people do that if they can just read it. And then the last one is kinesthetic or touch tactile. So they either need to touch, feel, can you give me a hard copy? Can you print it out for me? Or can I touch it somehow? Can I use my body to manipulate that information somehow? Those are the 4 basic learning styles. They're really, really simple. And it's literally at this point, my talk could end because you need to go and learn it for yourself, because what works for me is not necessarily going to be the same thing that's going to work for you. So using those 4, we can expand it a little bit. There are some graphs that'll expand it out into 9 learning styles. There are some that'll take it to a lot more than 9. There are some that only go to 5 or 6. But I found a chart that shows a total of 7 with a bonus little bubble. And I'm going to have to read. I don't like reading slides, but I'm going to have to read that one because the bubbles on this next slide are pretty small. But using those 4 as a basis, we can move into these 7. Thank you for that, Chris. So starting on looks like the left side with verbal, the words are your strong point. You prefer to use words both in speech and in writing. So that's that. They're using audio and talking with it because you have to listen. And then there's visual. You prefer to use pictures, diagrams, images, and spatial understanding to help you learn, because that's how it makes more sense to you if you can see it. You need a picture. You need to be in the same space as, the information is going to be used. So it makes a lot more sense to you. Auditory or musical, and I flip those around because it's primary auditory because you're listening, but people have turned it into musical because they are creative and talented. You prefer using sounds, music, or even rhythms to help you learn. And I don't know if you learned it, but at some point in my life, I learned a song for the states. I don't remember the whole song. We've all learned the alphabet song, the ABCs. That's a song. If you ever stop and think about it, it's a song to help us remember our letters. So some of you might do a lot better with that. So like people like Tyler Ramsby, who made the cybersecurity rap. I don't remember the name of it, but it's out there. There's a song when I was studying for the Security Plus, there's a song for the ports. There's actually 2 songs for the ports somewhere out in YouTube land. And before the talk tonight, I actually Googled cybersecurity rap and found a lot of very interesting results. I will post those over in my Discord under the learning styles because they look a little hilarious and I haven't heard them. But some people use music and they can take the information and put it into the form of a song for it to make more sense to them, or turn it into a rap, or turn it into a dance. I mean, literally anything. Actually, that would be for the next one. So physical kinesthetic is the next one. You use your hands, your body, and your sense of touch to help you learn. You might, what does that say? You might act things out. So kind of people like me who talk with their hands, can you give me a printout of that? Can you print that? Can I have a hard copy of that? Can I go stand in the space and figure out how that's going to work? So those people learn with their body, they learn by touching, they learn by doing with their hands, doing with their body, instead of just sitting and watching. And then back onto the left side, the logical mathematical learning. Lord, I need my glasses. Learning is easier for you if you use logic, reasoning, systems, and sequences. So instead of being creative and a little artsy about it and taking your supplies and just kind of going off and doing what you want to do, the logical mind wants it all in order. So I want step 1, I want step 2, I want step 3, instead of here's your supplies and just go figure it out. So the logical mathematical, they need kind of a process and a very, very conformative kind of a structured way to do that. For social, that's going to be a lot like us, the GRC Mafia, for the Thursday night meetup. That's like us in the morning when we meet with Jerry for the daily cyber threat brief. That's like Slay Security Plus on Saturdays, when we all meet up in a big group to learn a thing. Anytime you're in a group, that's a social. So the socials, they like to learn new things as a part of a group. Explaining your understanding to a group helps you learn. And I don't know about you, but when I'm in a group and we're going back and forth with thoughts and ideas, particularly with YouTube, and we're all having conversation in the chat, if we're talking about a concept, and for example, Slay Security and Jesse's on about something, and then people in the chat start mentioning, different ideas or different pieces of context, that will trigger an idea in my head. And next thing you know, I'm off on the research adventure trail trying to figure out what that is, because it's like, holy crap, I never even thought of that. So that's one that I enjoy personally. And then the next one you'll have is solitary. And if I remember right, I think Chris has claimed that one for himself, where he prefers to learn alone. So the solitary learner likes to work alone, like I just said. You use self-study and prefer your own, Lord glasses, you prefer your own company when learning. So it's, YouTube University, just all alone. You're not worried about going to do the group thing. I know he said he likes to do the books all by himself, and that's fine. If that works for him and it's going to really help his brain wrap around that information, that's perfect. But if that's not for you, then don't worry about that. And then the last one is combination, which most everyone is going to fall into this category. You're going to be, you might have one or two that are really strong. And then you're probably going to have another one or two that are like, oh yeah, that works for me too. I can do that. That works really, really well. So I chose those 7 because they're pretty broad. They're pretty basic, but they still follow the 4 basic ones: auditory, visual, tactile, and then the reading, writing. So you know what? I just thought the musical or the reading, writing, that could actually be a form of poetry. Anyway, next slide. So once you figure those out, it'll help you digest information a lot better. And once you get a good hold of what that is for you, what works really well for you, I'll actually go back and let you look at those. If you know that you like visual, then you're going to do everything you can to find any visual learning tool for the next skill that you have to learn for your job or for personal reasons, whatever. But the flip side of that is, once you understand this concept of how different people learn in different ways and it makes more sense, then you can maybe listen for keywords to say, oh, you probably would do a little bit better if we put some music on, or maybe if we can turn this into a song for you, or maybe you should probably get a picture of this. I need to probably print out some images for you because this is probably going to make a lot more sense for you. So once you find yourself in a position where you're teaching, if you listen to your students, then you can pick up on keywords to help you teach them a lot better, because you're listening to say, hey, I think this one's going to do a lot better with the touch, the tactile, and figuring out a hands-on project for them to do. How does that all relate to IT and cybersecurity? Well, unfortunately, GRC Mafia, as far as tactile, I mean, clipboards, graphs and charts. I don't know a whole lot after that. Maybe you guys can throw them in the chat, and I'll have to add those to my memory collection, because I can't think of a lot of hands-on. I know IT and cybersecurity in general, hands-on keyboard, home labs, doing all the things on the keyboard, but that's like the limit of it, because that's what we do. Like if you're working networking, you've got the hardware and the cords and all the cabinets and all the, everything to work with. So that's very, very tactile. But as far as the rest of us, the keyboard commandos there, that's kind of all we got. It's a little limited. But once you, like I said, once you figure out what works for you, you can tailor all this information that you need to learn to be better at your job or at any job, or be better off the job for something completely different. And you can tailor that information and how you receive it. And you can also offer that to someone else if you notice that they're struggling. So that's all of that. And then what you'll be able to do, a tablet is technically tactile if you think about it. That is a good point to a degree. This is going to be part of clearly it's a part of the presentation, but this is where you can go to learn what your learning style is, because I was pretty sure I knew what mine was and I was right. But the bonus is this one also gives you a Myers-Briggs adjacent personality to slap on top of your learning style, which is lovely. And so I'll show you what I learned about me. So I am a kinesthetic learner, which is why I was a PE teacher, on the court, running around, hitting a ball, throwing a ball, catching a ball or a puck or whatever. That was my jam. That's my groove. And my personality partner is an ISTP, introverted, sensing, thinking, perceiving. And you may wonder why an introverted person is a teacher. The thing with me is when I test introverted, I always test borderline extroverted. So I don't run like super, super introverted. I run right in the middle. I always have. I think maybe once I've jumped over to the extrovert side, but every other time I'm right on the border of introvert, extrovert. So I sense, think, and perceive. And then I am a tactile, auditory, visual. So you give me a game to play and I got it. I'm down. But to be honest, I can audio visual just about anything. Give me a good video, a visual video that's actually not if it's a lecture video, I might struggle a lot more with that. But if you give me an interactive, like a visually interactive, like movies back in the day, I could quote an entire movie. Like I used to be able to quote the entirety of Ace Ventura because of something about that audio visual really sticks in my head. There's a website that does little cooking videos called tasty.com, I think, on YouTube. And they would do like little 1-minute recipe videos. And I could do those pretty quick just from memory because it's really easy for me to remember like that audio visually. The slide is pretty self-explanatory. Kinesthetic learners, we are physical. Auditory learners, we like to hear it. The visual, they do split that into two. The visual linguistic, that's speaking, so lectures and talking and all the things. If it's visual spatial, imagine yourself in a room trying to suss it out. So for example, if I'm a volleyball coach or a volleyball player and I'm on the court and I'm trying to judge how hard do I need to hit the ball to serve it over the net and hit the very back line and keep it in bounds without it going out of bounds. That's that spatial element. So I need to be able to see it to judge, things like that. That's kind of what that means. And then the next part of the results from this test I took was the optimal learning situations for me with that information from the previous slide. Personally, I enjoy practical material in a situation that I can use it. So if you give me tools, then make sure you give me a practice situation where the tools work. Don't give me something that's going to be completely unrelated because I won't do very well with that situation. I'll have to make something up on my own. Lots of good examples that I can use. Repetition is really big for me. Something that gives me a lot of time to work it out so that I don't feel rushed and I don't feel pressured. And then study and presentation. Oh, things that are reviewable that I can go over again when I want to. And then for people who test as an ISTP, I struggle personally with hypotheticals. It's like, give me something I can use. Give me a practical. So don't give me, back in the 1800s, we had an idea And it just, don't give me something like that. Give me something that I can actually do, actually use, like right now, not 2,500 years ago. And then the last one is really heavy focus on problems with little emphasis on solving them. There was a great song about solving problems from way back in the day. If you know, you know. But don't present a problem that's just going to be the problem, you know, because what I'm going to want to do as an ISTP is I'm going to want to figure out a way to fix it. So, you know, thanks Vanilla Ice for that tip. Anyway, so that's actually the end of the learning lessons, the learning styles. So it's based on 4. You can expand that to however many you want. You are more likely more than one of them. Most likely more than one. One's going to probably be your dominant, like audio or visual or writing or whatever. And then you're going to have a combo of a few more. So I do recommend that you learn what that is for you. I also recommend that you learn to recognize that in other people, because anytime you're in a position to teach, whether it's your own kids, other people's kids, peers, subordinates, what are the people above? Whatever they're called, people above you that you need to teach. Like I had to teach my director recently some information about IT because she has no idea. And it was something that I knew, but I had to explain it to her in a way that she understood. So make sure you catch the keywords and those key points about each of those, because that way you can also recognize a learning style in someone else. And also, please, 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 as a teacher, never, 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 ever, ever dog someone or diss someone or berate or insult someone for how they learn, because everyone's brain works a little bit different. And the other thing about learning styles is, sadly, they're not really taught in curriculum. Like as for students, they're really kind of taught to teachers so that we can kind of teach like a class of different levels, kind of like, you know, the old school aerobics class. You had the teacher doing like the mainstream moves, and then you had Hyper Harold over here doing the big over the top extra hard version of it. And then you had Martha over here doing the low key version, so that everyone had a different level to work with. So when your learning style is kind of a little bit like that. So if you can figure out how to get that style just for the right people, it'll help them kind of grasp the information a little bit better. One thing is I'm sad, I was hoping to find some like statistics to say that learning your way will help you learn better, like percentage wise, but I wasn't able to find anything like that, but it does make it a little easier. So, second part of my talk is about wellness. So, disclaimer, I am not a physician. I am not a licensed therapist. I am not a parent. I am a retired teacher and all the things I said earlier. So these really based on my observations, my experiences, things I've learned from my friends and people that I know. I do know a licensed therapist. I do know some people who are physicians. So some of it's pulled from them, some of it's pulled from life experiences, both mine and from friends of mine. And this is just stuff that I kind of put together for myself within the Discord channel. And then once I got into it, once I got interested into cybersecurity and started listening to people like Neil Bridges and Gerald Auger and Derek, I can't think of his last name right now, and all these other different people. I've heard Josh Mason talk about it a bit. I've heard a few people talk about burnout a lot in cybersecurity. And I was like, okay, so cybersecurity sounds awesome, but why would I want to go into it if I'm just gonna, get burned out? That kind of sucks. So I put all this together, and this is really the whole, if it vibes with you, take it. And if it doesn't, please just pretend you're Dory and keep on scrolling. If you're in the Discord, if it doesn't work for you, then just leave it. That's fine. It might work for some other people. I've looked around and decided on the 7 pillars of self-care for wellness. So your mental, that's the obvious one, your emotional health, your physical health, And for environmental health, that one in the middle, it doesn't just mean the planet, because that is important, but that also means your home, your house, your room. Where do you live? How is your environment there cluttered? Is it kind of icky and it bugs you because, oh God, it's so gross, it's so dirty? Or, oh, I need, that one pile in the corner, or that one drawer that we all have that's full of everything. How is your home environment? Is that okay? Your environment in your car, because that's important. You spend time there driving sometimes. And then also your environment at work, where you work, your station, your cubicle, your office, your whatever it is you report to the place, and where you sit down at your computer and do your thing. What is that like? And also, in a grander scale, your office, your company, what is that like? So it's not just the planet, it's also your personal environment. And then spiritual health, your recreational health, and then your social health. So those are kind of the 7 things I focused on in this section of the Discord. And really, the channel that all of this information is located in, it's just a lot of just my own thoughts and tips that I've found and things that I've heard. I find a lot of memes with sometimes famous people, and I always want people to ignore the face. Like, you might find a really great quote with a Johnny Depp or a Denzel Washington face. Please, Lord, ignore the face and read the words. And then sometimes read the words again, because there's usually a really good message there. So the other one next to it, the 6 best doctors I found, is sunshine. Not me. I found this meme. And on the meme, they were talking about sunshine. Just get out into nature. Like Eric Taylor likes to say, go touch some grass. Get out in nature and go do something outside. So get out of your house a little bit. Drink some water, stay hydrated, particularly those of you in the thin air of Denver, being a mile high. It is very dry. And it's also desert. Rest. One thing I find that we don't do very well as a whole, as a country, is we don't rest. The American dream requires a lot of work, and we work hard, like really, really hard, to the point where if we rest, we generally tend to feel guilty. So rest is important. And by air, it's really just breathing and being very present in your breath and your breathing, and making sure that you're taking in enough, but it's a mental exercise there. And then fitness, the exercise element. And then for diet, it's not going on a diet. It is the diet you choose on a regular basis, what you choose to shove in your face every day to sustain your body. So what do you choose to eat? Do you eat all the processed everything on the planet? Do you eat all of the animals? I mean, literally just carnivore, everything, all of it. I want every single meat you've got in the shop on the pizza. Do it. Or are you plant-based? And it's not, there's no judgment. It's just, what do you choose to eat? How is your diet? Do you want to adjust it? That's fine if you do, and if that's fine if you don't. But just be mindful of your diet. The rest of this goes into general phrases that mean a little bit to me as far as wellness goes. I have the advantage, like some of you might, of yes, Flakinator, 15 pounds of candy a day is not, you probably need a new doctor, bro. Work-life balance has become a buzz phrase. It's a flaming hot phrase here in America. But I've had the advantage of living in a couple of different countries. And let me tell you, like I said earlier, that American dream where we put our heads down and we just get to the grindstone and we work hard, 40, 50, 60, 80 plus hours a week. There is, in my opinion, there's no work-life balance, or we're really, really not awesome at work-life balance. And some people might not agree with me, and that's okay. That's completely fine. But I don't think America's very good at it. I think we have a long way to go to get to a consensus as a country. Some of us are great at it. Some some states are great at it. Some companies are great at it. Some individuals are great at it. But us as a country, as a whole, we're not very good at that. We live for the weekend, and I would prefer to have a job that I enjoy so that the weekend comes just like, oh, that's great. And not just, oh my God, I can't wait till Friday. That kind of a stress. It takes a toll. The can't pour from an empty pitcher, that lesson you learn on the plane, if you've been on an airplane, because some people haven't. If there's an emergency, put your mask on first, and then you go take care of other people. You can't help people when you're completely depleted. So please find a way to take care of yourself. And that way you can help your friends, your loved ones, extended family, all the things. The rest of those, there's a lot of mental focus in those last ones, the taking care of, the preventing burnout, the managing stress, the overthinking, the exhaustion and the anxiety. There's a lot of mental that goes into everything we do. And if we're not mindful of that, if we don't manage our thoughts, we can spiral the wrong direction quickly. And if we don't have any practice at controlling it, it can get bad really quick. So one is to be mindful of our thoughts and to manage our thoughts. And I know, oh, just be positive. Yes, but it does take some practice because you can't just be positive. You have to kind of learn how to do it. Also, the stress and the overthinking, exhaustion and anxiety, all that mental, it does take a physiological toll on your body. It will actually show up as a physical problem if you don't check it quickly. So one thing I've had to learn I do have rheumatoid arthritis. And when I first got diagnosed, as I was researching, I learned that a lot of people have food triggers. I do have some, but my main triggers are stress triggers. So for example, I can get really angry and upset about something, and if it gets to a certain degree of me being irritated, I can trigger a flare. On the flip side, if I get exceedingly happy about something, I have in the past triggered a flare. For example, I have a former student who is sadly in prison, and he just recently got the news that he's going to be released on probation, which is awesome. That is a long story that I can tell you, like, not on a live stream if you like, but he finally got his parole granted, and it triggered a flare because I was over the moon ecstatic for him. I've been writing to him for decades now, but I was so excited that I triggered a flare. So I have to be very mindful of how I manage my thoughts and how I allow certain things to affect, because if I'm not careful, I'm in trouble. As far as the comments on the right, you need to be important. You need to make yourself a priority. I know a lot of us, we're parents, we put our kids first, we put our partners first, we put other people first, but that always puts us somewhere down the line. And you still need to make yourself a priority. You still need to take care of yourself. It is an important thing. I would hope we wouldn't become like really selfish and no, I'm a priority. No, I can't. Not the selfish, haughty, pompous. Nobody wants to be that person. But it is important for you to take care of yourself. So regardless if it's mental, physical, emotional, diet, exercise, food, environmental, whatever it is, you do need to be a priority for yourself. Part of that is learning how to set healthy boundaries. So if you don't know how to do that, that's a good thing to learn and to start practicing. I learned about it about 100,000 years ago. I'm about 800,000 years old. I learned about it a while back, and I'm still not good at it, but I know how, but I still need a lot more practice. The reflect on your performance part, as far as stress and wellness goes, raise your hand if you are your own worst critic. I know a lot of us are, and yes, we screw up, and yes, we have moments where we are the embodiment of Carl from the morning show. However, you need to understand that you also do a lot of good. So despite your mistakes, because there are your mistakes, I have mistakes, lots and lots of them. We all still do a lot of good too. So whenever you stop and reflect on your performance, please, please, please be objective. Yeah, I screwed that up, but you know what? Over the course of amount of time, I've actually done a lot of great stuff. So I do need to work on these. Yes, I do need to work on these, but I've also done a really good job on these. So please do that, because when you spin out on the negative side, it makes it really, really, really hard to manage your thoughts. It makes it really hard because you're already in a negative headspace and you're already thinking, well, damn, I suck, or whatever your version of that statement is. You're already in a negative mental space, a headspace. So please be fair to yourself. Remember your accomplishments, remember your talents, remember your skills, as much as you remember your mistakes and your errors and your missteps. Exploring new hobbies. I have a section in my Discord that has an entire list and maybe a link of new things to try. So whether you're musical, you like to draw, take photos, do sports, cook, knit, crochet, I don't know, video game. But one thing to help with the stress and the exhaustion and the burnout is to do some non-cybersecurity things. If you're taking a course, like you need to, or for a cert or anything, or any reason, that's fine. But find something that you enjoy doing: writing poetry, reading books, going to the beach, body surfing, racing cars, flying kites, parasailing, I don't know, hiking a mountain, yoga class, never mind, I won't say that last one. But find something that you love to do and do that. If it's with the family, with your friends, by yourself, doesn't matter, with your puppy, with your other whatever animals you might have, find something non-cybersecurity to do for fun, for relaxing, preferably an activity, because we do sit a lot during the day, but that's completely up to you. Set personal boundaries. Like I said, that kind of helps with the making you a priority, with some balance in your life, period, not just work life. Setting healthy boundaries, not just, no to everything, but set healthy personal boundaries. I've had to personally do that with, sadly, PBO. Tuesday nights, I might jump in the chat. Hey, you guys, happy Tuesday. I just wanted to say hi, but I'm 400,000 years old and I got to go to bed because I need to go to sleep. Or I might be having a flare. It's like, I can't hang out because I'm sick today. So that's a boundary. Oh no, you got to stay and watch. No, I really can't. I need to take care of myself. I need to go to bed. I need to go take my medicine because I'm having a flare. I need to go lay down. So that's when you see that, that's me using a boundary. It's more just to keep myself under control too, because I'll stay up till 3 a.m. and then I'm in a lot of trouble. As far as the iterate and adapt, just go with the flow and change. We're all going to have to change something at some point. We have to learn, we have to grow, we have to let go of old habits, we have to take on new habits. So be the water that flows around the rock and roll with it, baby, roll. All right. I think I'm close to being finished. In the image, please pause when you are on low, not when you are out of juice. Take a step back. If you need to find like professional help, that's fine. If you need to be put on medication, that is also fine. If you just need to talk to a friend, do that. That's fine. But if you start feeling yourself going from green to yellow, and you can feel that your energy, your joy, your love for life and things, if you feel that ebbing away and it's slowly leaking away and leaking out of you, take a hard pause and figure out a way to fix that. It's like a slow leak on your tire, because at some point you're going to be completely flat and you don't want that, and that rhymed. So talk to people that you trust and love. Talk to a professional if you need to, which, like I said, is perfectly fine. And you try to catch it when you feel it happening, and try not to wait until it hits the red zone and you're totally tapped out. I remember when I first started listening to Jerry in the morning in May of or March of 2023. I remember sometime that summer he was on screen and was just like, you guys, I tell you what, I'm tapped out. I'm exhausted. I'm burnt out. And it's like, bro, look at all the work you do. No wonder. And I remember him being really real about that. And it's just like, he's like, I'm going to have to take some time off. And, us as the community, we're like, no, we love having you on screen. But at the same time, it's like, no. We love having you on screen, but you really need to take care of yourself. So you go do you take care of that, and we'll do the thing, and you just go do you. Please take care of yourself before you hit the floor face first and you're completely tapped out. And then I think probably the last part is whatever works for me may or may not work for you. I might love to just literally stay in my bed, and that might not be the thing for you. I might love a movie marathon, and that's a really de-stressing activity for me, and that might not work for you. You may love racing motorcycles. That's not going to do it for me, although it probably would. You might love jumping out of airplanes. You might love knitting. You might love going to the opera. You might love going to a wrestling match. You might love any number of things that will help you enjoy yourself, de-stress, have fun, just kick your feet up and have a good time. And some of those might work for me. Some of them might not. I might prefer a rave party downtown. You might not like that. You might prefer climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I mean, literally, it could be anything. So please figure out what works well for you to keep yourself restored, to keep your battery full, to keep your life enjoyable, to have fun, to relax. We do work hard, but one thing I noticed when I lived in Germany is Germans work really hard, but they play hard. They literally, at the very least, the Germans I worked with, they would literally find any reason to have a party and drink beer. You got a promotion, let's go have a beer. You got engaged, that's a big deal. You finished your project, let's go have a beer and have a little party with a pizza or something. You were able to learn how to drive today, let's go have a beer. They play hard, but they work hard, but they play hard. We need to learn a little bit more how to play harder and maybe work just a teensy bit less. But us being in cybersecurity, I don't know if that's going to actually be possible. So anyway, that is going to be everything I have for you. I could go on, but I really won't. I did put, yes, Flakinator, I finished a beer, let's have a beer. And the funny part is I've actually done that. I've had someone say that when I was there for Stammtisch. If you want, there is my email and my website. And I was telling Chris and B-Dubs earlier before the stream is the reason I put the happy laughy face next to Space Tacos is because Space Tacos, if you convert it to letters, numbers, makes a perfect 10-digit phone number. I was going to put a fake phone number up there. And then I thought, oh no, what if it's not fake? So I just, put my name. So we can do questions. I will happily answer all of the questions.
Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, definitely drop that in chat. I'm also dropping the link for the stage, and I just put Space Taco's website and Discord in the chat as well. Couple things too. I also wanted to mention and just put a reminder out there regarding the badge. So if you guys want to get the weekly badge, definitely hop into the Discord, GRC Mafia in the chat for the live chat. Let me know if you have any questions or issues with that. Um, yeah, that was an amazing presentation. Wow. So
Thanks.
much information, but really, really great information.
It's a lot.
Um, yeah, one of the big reasons why I was trying to pressure you into doing this learning style portion is because I lack that. It's
Yeah.
not something I've ever really looked into. I've just kind of, I guess, forced my way into what works the best.
Right.
So, and yes, Flake Grenadier and AB, caffeine, hopes and dreams. Yes, yes,
Well,
yes.
it's not a thing that's taught. It's just, a lot. I hate to hear this, but too many people have that story of, my teacher told me I was an idiot or I was dumb and I would never learn. Or you might get that teacher or hear about that teacher who's like, just learn it this way. You have to do it this way. This is the only way to do it.
Hmm.
And it's not true. So the problem is a lot of teachers just, they learned it one way, they explain it one way, and if you get it, you get it, and if not, sorry, not my problem.
Yeah.
But that's not what we should be doing. We should be teaching kids, we're teaching people uh, in a way that's going to help them really understand.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And I think that's very important nowadays, so that way they don't have to struggle through life the hard way. Um, because I mean, that's kind of like the situation I found myself in, and I'm sure a lot of you, the rest of you, can relate to it as well. Because, like, sure, I studied and I learned things and so forth, but I never really like pursued anything
Yeah.
um to a larger extent. And then once I started doing that, then I realized just how difficult it is.
Yes.
And then you hear about all of these other people and so forth. Everybody's different. Like a lot of people can use flashcards. I hate
Yeah.
flashcards.
Yeah.
So so then you get all of this input and everything else, and then you gotta, just make or break on what works for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the problem with that is when, especially if you get, like, let's say you get a teacher and they are forcing you to use the flashcard. Well, for a lot of people, when they're in a situation like that, where it's like, this is the only way I'm going to teach it, so learn it, or suck it up or get out, you're going to turn people off from learning, if not forever, for at least a little while. And
Yeah.
they're not gonna want to touch it. They're gonna be like, just middle fingers to all this, I'm done. And then they're feeling defeated, and now we're in a negative spiral, and it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Rania also mentions that they've always considered themselves a visual learner. Also, Rania, and then Rhonda mentions apparently a visual ISTJ, which during
Ooh.
your presentation, I actually went through and took the test, and I'm exactly the same, a visual INTJ.
Ooh,
That's what I got.
interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was thinking
remember
about
what
pulling
T
up my
is.
results, but I don't know if I trust y'all. Fleckenator and AB are already, physically attacking me here. I I've been here. I've been in Denver for less than 24 hours, or a little over 24 hours now, and Starbucks knows my first name already. Like,
That's
because
hilarious.
I've been there too many times.
Yeah. Well,
I'm about to have to go hit up a Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be my chaser on this one.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
dropped the link here a moment ago, but I'm going to drop it again for the open stage if anybody else wants to come up. Oh
Where's the
yeah, let me
chat?
grab the website for you again. So I just took the test during the presentation. I think there was like probably about 25 questions or so.
It's not long.
No, it took me maybe 5 minutes or so.
Hi, 8-Bit Oni.
Yeah, welcome to the party, pal.
Yay. How can one
So
reach
Adrienne,
to understand? Oh dear. Honestly,
good question.
it is a good question. And it's going to depend on the person, which is going to be my answer to a lot of things. Sorry. But as far as understanding, there's a couple ways to go about it. One is to use the information, And then another one is to teach the information. When you go from learning A, B, C equals this sentence, and the CIA equals this phrase, and all like the acronyms are probably the easiest to pick on. But when you get into the habit of using it on the job, because like I think Jerry talked yesterday or the day before about, oh my God, what is that acronym? I don't even remember anymore. I just know what it is and I say the thing, but I forget what it stands for because you've used it a lot. And you use it so much that you know what it is. You know what it is. You recognize it when you see it, but you may forget the specific words because the concept, you've just absorbed it and you know what it is and you use it all the time. The other way is, as far as understanding, like to teach, you have to get a good grasp on it in order to teach it to someone else, you really do need a good grasp on it. Mm-hmm. The best way is probably to use it though. Use the material in some way.
Yeah, and also like Rhonda mentions, practice teaching the material. Usually my dog.
Yes.
By practicing the teaching aspect.
I think one thing too is to stop learning and memorizing the answers and start learning the how. Like understand the why, learn the process. Problem solving and not the end result. Learn how to find that end result on your own without some formula or whatever it is. Every situation is different, but
that's true.
Yeah.
I can say in the Discord regime, if you go to the study methods, I think is what it's called. What did I call it? If you go to the man, my computer's so I love it. Go to the study methods and there's the DAX methodology. He uses the rubber ducky method, which is what Rhonda said about teaching her dog. He uses the rubber ducky method. You learn a concept and you teach it to a rubber duck or whatever inanimate object you want to choose, but learn to teach it to someone. It could be someone in your family who's not GRC or cybersecurity, or it could be, stuffed animal, toy, truck, car, whatever, something like that.
Bam. Straight facts, homie. So, if anybody else wants to come up or if you guys have any other questions, so this is our primary Thursday meeting. So also if you guys have other topics that you want to discuss or otherwise too, so we can stick around for a little bit. Oh, we got AB hopping in here in 8-bit.
8-bit Odie! What's up, baby?
Hey, it's good to see you, Tacos.
I joined Space Tacos from the car. I thought I would attend 15 minutes and I'll just go back home. But your presentation was awesome. I'm just stuck in the car right here.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
I'm glad that I've learned a lot more about you, Tacos, and I remember when we were on the other Discord learning the CISA material and stuff. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy to hear you.
Thanks, man. It's good to see you. Glad you joined us.
Yeah, no, I've been MIA, but I'm happy. I'm gonna try to join a lot more often.
Yay!
Sweet. I'm excited for that. If it makes you feel any better, AB, I'm literally sitting in a hallway right now on the floor.
He's in a hallway.
My laptop is in my actual lap.
That's hilarious.
It's quite not comfortable, but it's worth it.
It doesn't sound that comfortable.
No, it's not.
Hey, I know how you feel. I'm always going to the Thai temple on the weekends because my kids go to the Thai school.
Mm-hmm.
I literally set myself up a little corner at the temple where all the monks are, and I have to sit on the floor like everybody else, and I'll be sitting there for 2-3 hours on the floor, and I'll have my laptop with me with a little tiny table.
Yep. Yay. There aren't any other questions?
Well, first of all, I mean, you did amazing.
Well,
so Congrats.
Very well done.
Loved it. Yes, very well done. I loved how you, really explained a lot of the topics that need to be discussed more. Yeah, so I would clap right now, but my laptop would fall. Legit mobile studio right now, so
I'll take it.
Imagine me clapping.
Same with me. If I clap, my phone is going to fall.
I'll do it. I'll do it for you guys.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you go. Round of applause.
I am on my laptop, but I don't have a table in front of me. Just it's on my backpack on my lap, so to raise it up a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you. I'm signing off for now.
Okay. Bye, AB.
Yeah. No worries, AB. Talk to you later.
Diana Sophia has a question on LinkedIn, but she hasn't posted it. Oh, there we go. How do I deal with people who are unkind and talk to people? My 15-year-old self is a really big fan of throat punching, but that's frowned upon. Like they're better than you. Is it because of something that they've recently learned, or that's just the kind of person they are, Diana? Because, I mean, sadly, I'm also a fan of a good verbal zinger.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues with this question, is that it really depends on the situation. Especially if it's something that's repetitive, it's probably the person and not the situation.
Yeah,
I think one time, it could be just sometimes things get taken out of context if it happens once, maybe talk to them and just be honest with them. Now, if it's a repetitive thing and it's just over and over, then maybe talking to them won't get you as far.
Right. If it's, I try to be very kind and this person just made me feel sad. If this is like a person with whom you have like any kind of a relationship, working, personal, just random acquaintance, but you kind of know them, I talk to him about it, confront him about it. And if it's a person who doesn't really care and they just, I agree, Fleckinator. But if this is a person with whom you have a relationship and they don't care and they continue, then there's a few boundaries that can be established. And if they don't respect the boundaries, there is also distance that can be put into place.
Yeah, and one thing I was actually talking to somebody about like an hour ago is, just being honest with people. And if this is a one-off situation and maybe it was taken out of context, or maybe they meant it a different way, but it came off wrong, just have a conversation with them. Be honest. Don't try and give them a compliment sandwich or anything. But tell them how it made you feel, or, maybe ask them why they feel a certain way, and they can give you your perspective and try to look at things from their side. But then you can also kind of explain your perspective, and you might both learn something that day. But just being honest with each other in a professional way will get you so far. So, I mean, I personally love constructive feedback. So, if I'm doing something wrong or I could do something better, let's talk about it. I want to grow too. So, just that growth mindset and approaching it in that way, I think could help.
Right.
Well, and you also, like, along those lines of what you're talking about too, is also a higher road. I think that works in both circumstances of both when it's intended and intentional and non-intentional and non-intentional. I don't know.
And if it's intentional, even if it is over and over, if that person is accepting of that and they have that growth mindset and they're willing to listen to you, but you approach them in a professional way, it really might accomplish something. So, like, just sit with them and have a real coffee or a virtual coffee, whatever it is, and just and hang out or whatever. If you're having a serious conversation about something like that, if it's someone you might be close to, I would recommend not over text because it can really be misread. So set up a video call or a telephone call or in-person meetup, depending on location. Don't send them a Teams message or a Discord message because it'll be taken the wrong way probably.
Not even an email either, because that can fall in the same
category. No
category.
emails.
Being taken
Just don't send emails anyways.
Did you want to add anything there, 8-bit?
No, I think you guys said everything pretty well. I mean, obviously, it's always good to go ahead and talk to people face to face, because then you could see more of the person, But another thing, I guess if I had anything to add too, is just that, besides you guys saying that maybe it was misunderstood, because misunderstandings happen all the time.
That's true.
And I know that I know this firsthand since my wife's not even American. My wife's from Thailand, and sometimes there's a miscommunication there, right? And sometimes I come off a little harsh, even, and I'm like, oh crap, Sometimes it's me, and I just say that sometimes, even the truth can hurt, but then try to keep it constructive, try to internalize it and make it something positive. And if the person didn't mean to be, mean, be like, well, okay, well, uh, just, next time, hey, can you tell me in a different way? Because like I said, sometimes I say something, I don't realize it. My wife's like, oh, that was me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. And it's just being able to try to have that communication, because it's not just, that person coming to you, but sometimes, you also got to internalize yourself and what it is that you interpret it, because sometimes, like I said, sometimes I misinterpret things. And so it's just trying to have that conversation and keeping the lines open is what makes things work. I mean, I've been with my wife 18 years. So I mean,
right. So it's working.
yeah. So that's important. Is keeping that communication.
As you look over your shoulder, like,
I know, right?
I'm gonna disappear.
I don't know.
Being open-minded can really go a long way. Like, listen to someone, even if you think they're wrong, listen to them and hear them out, and listen to why they think whatever it is that you think is wrong. And have a conversation about a civil conversation. Like, don't sit there and argue and fight about it. Listen to them, they listen to you. Share your perspectives, be open-minded. Maybe you can come to an agreement in the middle, compromise, and maybe you agree to disagree civilly, but you at least understand each other.
And it's also important. I would say one thing that's really important is at the end of it too, if let's say both you can't agree on a certain topic, it's always important to be civil and just agree to disagree and just try to respect each other's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, now question. What do you do when the person doesn't want the healthy conversation? They don't want to listen. They don't want to do any of those things. Then what do you do?
It depends on the circumstance. Are they a supervisor, a coworker, a family member?
Yes.
An acquaintance, a business partner? Like, there's so many different scenarios that occur in that circumstance. So like the part that I was going to add is I've been on both sides of the argument on a semi-regular basis on just miscommunication, especially when you primarily run text apps, and businesses do this all the time too, where you lack that emotion, the physical characteristics and movement and so forth, and cues. So yeah, it happens way more often than people may realize. But like in regards to that, space tacos, like when I did sales, I had to work with some horrible clients, like horrible customers, like people who are just like, take my money, I don't care, like that's it. Like, and then they would call back, 30 days later and be like, oh, I'm not happy with this. You need to fix all of it. Even though they were the ones who, broke whatever they bought or whatever. That's an example of one. But but yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on the circumstance. And I think in the GRC realm it's even that much more sensitive because I mean, like as a consultant and so forth. So yeah.
No, I agree. It's just, I mean, because we can talk about, have a convo, just accept it and use your feeling statements and reflect and make sure it's not you, because it can be, but you do come across that person.
Yeah.
Who is like, nope, not doing any of the positive things, not doing any of the healthy things, middle fingers to every one of the situation, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and you're just like, whoa, no, sir, ma'am.
And so probably one of the most common that I've heard of is during interviews when you are a consultant and you're interviewing a third party, and let's say you're interviewing, a network admin or something along those lines. And then they just try to use terminology or put you down, or they just get aggressive to an extent because you're not worth their time. They have more important things. I've personally talked to people who have been in these situations as a consultant. And that's also where like the communication part comes in. Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but like PBO's also mentioned during a live stream that he had a situation at one point where he went on site and like they didn't want to work with him. So yeah.
Wow.
I don't feel like, I hope that's not very common per se, but I'm sure throughout a career you're going to have that at some point.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to be more common, hopefully, than a coworker or supervisor. But yeah.
Okay.
I think the most important part is keeping your cool and just remaining professional. Like Jack Scott's even said earlier in her talk here on making sure that you have the facts, the data to back it, and don't make decisions and so forth in business with emotions.
Ooh, I have a question.
100% facts.
Yeah.
Is the Denver being recorded?
It is recorded, but it's probably going to be like that 3 to 6 months before it rolls out.
That's
You can hear it behind me though. I'm muting in between talking because I'm outside of track one. Yeah, I'm outside of track one, and they're starting the dinner, and so they'll have trivia, and it's about to get crazy in there with the mechanical bowl and all of it.
Yeah, and before we move on to the rest of it, I was going to just mention that Jack Scott's talk, everybody is going to absolutely love. It was even better than the one in Deadwood.
100%. I had to miss it because I was volunteering at the escape room. But yes, everything that I've heard and talked to Jax about, it's been incredible.
Oh yeah. But yeah, did anybody else want to add anything in regards to like that kind of situation, in regards to being a consultant, or based on a particular person's role before we move on to the next question here?
I think I'm good. I added a lot.
So this other question that I've marked out here. So Bentech was asking those working in GRC, what was the primary role when you got your first GRC job? I was just going to mention that just audit is the most common. So yeah.
I put mine in the chat. I'm an auditor.
Yep.
I'm an internal auditor for operational technology, but I'm an auditor.
So, fun fact, I am in my first GRC role now. I am coming up on my 1 year soon. So I'm in application security. I work with a lot of frameworks, but mostly PCI. It's a lot of fun. And
that was convincing. Good job.
I know, it's so convincing, right? No, I really enjoy what I do, but I am more so looking at like code and not literal code, but like the code that we're building to create these applications. I don't want to freak anybody out thinking I just read lines of code all day, because I do not. But I work really close with developers and communicate back and forth with them, and the things that they are building, they are doing the code. I am not a programmer, but I audit those environments for PCI and some other frameworks. And in addition to that, I write, help update policies and documentation. What is it? What's an SOP? Acronyms.
Mm-hmm.
So I've
SOP and a
made
mop.
SOPs. It's
Standard of procedure.
Yes, standard operating procedures.
Oh, yeah.
There's too many letters. But that's the high level of what I do.
And so, yeah, like based off of the majority of the people that I've talked to, is like the most common ways into GRC is audit of some sort, very popularly IT audit, or you come over from the business side through accounting. You do get the people who do crossovers from other industries as well, but those are typically that's like the largest sector is audit. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like the metrics would show 70% of GRC is audit.
Wow.
Starting point.
So
I wouldn't be surprised either.
I am not, like, my job title is not an auditor. I'm an information security analyst. But a big part of what I do is internal auditing. So I'm not like your third party auditor that you hire and bring in. I'm auditing our own internal environments. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can be an auditor, but it's very common.
Yes.
And so this next question is, do you think age is a big factor in getting a job in GRC?
Ooh, Geraldine, thanks.
Where's PBO?
Yeah, we need PBO in here.
Where is PBO?
He can answer that one.
Well, and so like I can paraphrase with PBO's previous statements. He's talked about it before because he has 20, 30, he has over 20 years of experience coming from like a development background, like doing programming all the way into like DoD compliance, which is where he kind of got into the GRC side of things. That's one reason why he's like so valuable, because he has so many different viewpoints from it.
Yeah.
And so like he's talked about how, he had, let's say, 27 years of experience on his resume, and he took off like over 10 years worth, and then he started getting interviews. He wasn't getting any interviews prior because he had 25 years on his resume, and then he took 10 years off of that, and then he started getting things.
Well, and we talked about this too last week about putting like 10 plus years instead, because that's all you need. So it's accurate, it's 10 plus.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And like, I hope it's not too common. People have called out a potential issue with like ageism or otherwise. However, yeah, I mean, I see no reason why you just need to be able to prove that you can do the job and so forth. And if they require anything additional, like background checks and so forth, obviously that could be provided. But go ahead.
No, I said I would agree with you on that. The thing is, I think, as I mentioned before, I got into tech when I was 30. I'm 40 years old now, and then I've met a lot of people that are much older, and they're even as old as 60, that are on top of their game, and they're really, really good. I've known a lot of people with GX certifications, high level network engineers. I remember there's this one lady I used to work with. She was really, really good. I know she's like a top senior level engineer now, and I think she's in her 50s. So I mean, age I don't think is much of a factor, but I agree with what you're saying there.
He heard us talking about ageism.
Yeah, it depends on this. I hope it's not as big of an issue as I've heard some people say, but yeah, it's all going to also depend on the company itself too. Like, yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing. So, but yeah, PBO, you got. I was paraphrasing all your previous recaps and so forth. Actually, I took the sunker punching out. Your thunder punch.
The Space Taco's already threatened to punch. So
no, you said not. My 15-year-old self would.
Thing about you would.
My 15-year-old self would. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
If I knew. Sorry. I was just gonna say, if I knew my 15-year-old self, I would smack myself silly. Go ahead.
I think you paraphrased it correct, Chris. I was just kind of mellowing out, listening to Space Tacos, just relaxing a little bit.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
It was relaxing in a good way, not a boring way. It was
no.
I'm okay for it.
No. I enjoyed it.
No, but I think like you said, there is a little ageism out there. I mean, I don't think it's a ton, but like you said, I wasn't getting many interviews, and I took about 10 years off and took my graduation dates off because I'm almost 60. So
yeah.
And I think like another thing from a business point of view is like they're hiring for somebody, and then let's just say they're looking for some senior individual, let's just say $100,000 a year, and they have a resume for somebody with 25 years of experience, and they have somebody for 10 years of experience. They may still go with that person with only 10 years of experience just because they're like, oh well, maybe that's going to be easier. Oh, this person wasn't with the DoD. They're not on the government background kind of thing, lifestyle, I should say. So there's a lot of different factors that could play into it, but I think like a really good go-to is like you don't need 25 years on your resume.
And two is, I think a lot of younger people thought I was going to try to take over their job, so I had to reassure them I'm comfortable, man. I'm trying to get my silo. I got about 5 more years. I'm trying to skate into retirement, so I thought I was getting a little of that. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, one thing I wanted to add too that I thought was very important though is, besides putting out a resume, is actually going out there and go to meetups and go to different places, because sometimes nothing says more than a handshake and a smile,
Absolutely.
and that's I think is very, very important. I'm not gonna try to make it about me, but the thing is, like when I moved out here to Texas, I knew nobody. And then when I lost my job that I had for like a while, for over 7 years, and I didn't know where anything was. First thing I did is I started going out to meetups. I went to DHA. I started trying to meet other people, and that's actually how I have my current role right now. Is that I went out because I wasn't getting anything just by putting out a resume. But sometimes just going out there, meeting people, that face to face, just like if somebody has a disagreement, that face to face can make all the difference.
Oh, and we got Luke popping into the stream.
Woo! I found a friend.
Yeah, we're friends.
But I have my AirPod in.
I was going to call my wife. So.
We can hear him.
Yeah, he's good.
Hey guys.
What's up, Luke? But I think too is
Chris.
Yeah, and I think meetups is a great thing. I'm just not trying to go in the office anymore, so I try to do the 100% remote thing. So, but I think if you want to cut out 97% of your competition, definitely going is the way to go. Like I said, I'm just not trying to put on real clothes anymore, so I'm just lucky to be able to get that 100% remote. So I'm trying to roll it out. So we'll see. But like you said, I call them Plan Zs, where I know people where I could probably go in the office. And I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. Indianapolis is the capital, so I got about 2 or 3 places. If I had to squeeze in some casual clothes, I could probably find some work if I had to.
Yeah, and this next question that we have lined out. So what are the challenges that you are currently facing in your current GRC role? So like what are some of the big challenges that we come across?
For me, because I do federal work, just working with the internal people, working with the divisions, just to kind of trying to get buy-in on some of that for me. Since I've been doing this long, I kind of got confidence of the organization, so that makes it a little easier for me. So
what do you mean by confidence of the organization?
Oh, I've been in orgs where they don't want to do security. The program teams, Space Tacos knows you're stopping us making profits because what are you doing is slowing us down. We've been doing this for 30 years. Why do I have to do it? We've never been hacked. So once you first get in, I call it a battleship. You got to turn that and get buy-in. Because a lot of times they need to do it, but they don't want to do it, right? So getting that corporate buy-in is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to add on to that. I think buy-in is really one of the biggest challenges, just with all the stakeholders. And I want to also clarify to anyone new here, because when I was first learning all of this, I didn't exactly know what stakeholders meant. But it's literally like not always the people at the top of the organization. It could be your developers, anyone who has some kind of stake in, ownership of what you're building. What is so funny? I want to laugh too.
I'm sorry.
I'm
laughing
distracted.
at Cyber Stoic. He says he's catching up on 2x speed.
Oh, I love it.
I'm sorry.
So,
I'm laughing at his comments right now.
No, I was like, am I saying something funny? Because I want to
No,
know.
sorry.
I want to know. But yeah, it took me a while to really like understand in my head who a stakeholder was, because I'm thinking like all the C-level people, but it's not always your C-suite. It's so many different people in your organization could be a stakeholder, and so getting that buy-in, which is not always financial. A lot of the times it's financial, but other times it's like, well, the developers just don't want to do it because they don't understand why they need to take that one extra step to do this thing when they've been doing it this way for so long and it's working. So you have to be able to explain that security side and that risk and communicate with all of these people, so that you have to communicate in their language so that they understand why it's necessary and why it's so important to them to do whatever one extra step you're asking them to do.
Right. And so I find it interesting. So, like you mentioned, that it's not always financial. That you also have, like communication with those teams as well. But also, like in regards to like the shareholders and getting buy-in, I think a really important
not
thing.
Shareholders, stakeholders. It's
yeah.
a different.
Well, yeah, and even the stakeholders as well. Yeah, so even the stakeholders as well is I guess kind of on the communication portion, but that's why I was saying shareholder itself. So the actual C-suite buy-in in regards to not just the money, but the actual actions as well. So
yeah,
I just
so
wanted to make that note.
I'm talking about like what they have to do. So some people have to spend more money, but other people have to do something that maybe they don't want to do, or their team has to do something that they don't want to do. And you have to be able to communicate with them so that they understand the why it's necessary, and why they shouldn't do it the way that they've been doing the last however many years. But yeah, definitely pointing out who those stakeholders could be, as well as that buy-in is not always financial. And getting that buy-in is one of the biggest challenges that I see, financially and otherwise.
Yeah, B-Dubs is right. Different levels. C-suite's talking financials. When I talk to developers, their thing is velocity. What does that mean? They have to get these new features out because that's how they get paid, right? They have timelines to get features out. So that's kind of their buy-in. If you're customer service, right, and you're trying to get them to send secure email, that's slowing them down. The old people can't figure it out, right? Now it's a lot easier now because you can just hit the damn button in Office 365. Before then, though, you had to do these special compress the file and do it. So each, like she said, each one of those divisions. So you as a GRC person or security person is, I hate this term, is what is your pain point and how can I solve it? So technically, a lot of times I understand how to do encryption in AWS and a KMS key. That's super technical, but I can help them do that because I'm asking them to do that, right? So that's kind of where you dig into the technical, because what I want to do as a senior person is I'm giving you a pain point, but I can help you solve it, right? So I think so, and that's where the technical piece comes in. If you can do that, I'm telling you to do encryption or do a program or encrypt the database or encrypt blah blah. This is how you do it. If you're having struggles with it, here's the solution. Now you don't have to take my solution, but here's a solution for that pain point if you can't come up with your own. So
yeah,
I
and
like
I'm probably gonna. I was just gonna mention real quick. So I'm gonna butcher the name here, but I have it up on screen. So Johnson over on LinkedIn. I just wanted to let you know. So like the LinkedIn chat is kind of funny, but you can also catch us. So studygrc.org. You could find the rest of our social links there, including our Discord server and then also the YouTube channel as well. The chat's just a lot more stable on the YouTube side. And so
facts.
every single Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central, we meet up in this. That's our primary stream every week. And then we just recently started 5 days a week in total. So definitely check out the website though, studygrc.org to learn more. But yeah, welcome to the party, pal.
I think her name is Geraldine.
Geraldine. Yeah. Okay. I'm bad at names. Very
There you
bad
go.
at names.
Yeah, you wasn't even close, Chris. Come on, man. Come on.
Well, her last name is Johnson.
Facts.
One of the things I wanted to say real quick too about what you guys were saying, especially when it comes to the stakeholders and everybody else. I always like to sum that up into people, process, and technology. And the thing is, and getting to know the roles that they play in, and then getting to know the processes, and as you just said, like what's gonna stop them, what's the hold up, and then what technologies have to be put in place. And so it's always a challenge, especially when you're trying to go ahead and communicate those things. But yes, it's always important.
The crazy part about that is, for me, it's easier to deal with a big organization than a smaller organization. The reason why is big organizations usually have process and procedures, and somebody has a big hammer. When I go to little organization, everybody's got their own silo. They've been doing it. We don't care. So most people know I do IRS work. I could just say, IRS says we got to do X or we can't get their data. So then everybody kind of falls in line after that. When I help guys, startups and stuff, it's just kind of like a free for all.
Yeah, when you start the sentence with IRS, it makes it a little bit easier to get that buy-in. But yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but the cool things is Space Taco know this is usually when you're working for org and they got to do federal compliance, that's the buy-in because they're trying to get it because they're trying to sell something or do something or get some kind of data. So they got to do this compliance so they could do what they need to do to make money and make a job.
Mm-hmm.
So the C-suite seems to be more activated and want to get involved. So then I just say, man, I don't have to go tell the CISO on you. PBO's here to help you. Let me help you solve your problem. I don't want to run it up the chain, man. I'm a nice guy. I don't want to go tell the CISO, but I have to, man, because I got to give him an update. So I don't want you to be on the update because the update. Because those big companies, those guys like to go around and smash me. Whatever. Like, let PBO help you, man. I'm here for you, man. PBO's here.
Help me, help you.
Yeah, PBO's a nice guy. So then they got to get to buy little companies. They're like, F you. Little companies like, F you. We're not doing it. I'm like, okay.
So wait, PBO, are you saying to scare them?
Yeah, basically. But what I'm trying to do though is I'm offering them a solution, right? And I tell people when I worked at DOD, this ex, he was up there. He wasn't quite general, but he's up there. He obviously say, PBO, do not put a turd on my desk without a solution. We're gonna have a problem if you put a turd on my desk with no solution. I just always remember, I was like, that must be a military term. That just doesn't seem kind of attractive. So I hate that term.
Well, and so that reminds me of Jack Scott's talk during Wild West and Deadwood this last year, which is like the what is the problem, so what, why do we care, and then like how are we going to solve it, and never go into anything without having at least a solution, and almost always, ideally, at minimum 2 or more solutions to provide, like to give them options as well. That's what that reminds me of.
That's a hard thing to do. That's easy to say, man. That unless you have a super technical background, that is hard to do, man. I mean, because we usually talk about policies and procedures, but now I'm telling you, I need you to do encryption on an S3 bucket. You know what this is. Most people don't know what that is, right? Then that's when you start going on a technical side. So you got your checklist, but you tell somebody, I need encryption, FIPS 140-3. Most people don't know what that is, man. Shout out to Diana. She wants to work with me. Shout out to me. I'm Jimmy Diana.
Yeah.
Shout out to
she
me.
wants to come work with you, PBO.
Where's the career page?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought BB's like, oh no.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and one of the I was going to so what I was going to mention real quick, we have another question lined up as well, but also just so everybody else realizes, I was going to mention it at the beginning of the stream, but I always forget something. And so after our streams, every single stream that we do, we're now adding chapters after the post stream.
Okay.
So then about maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours after the stream, we'll have all of the chapters lined out in the description below, which will make it a lot easier for us to find the stuff later on. And also, if you're on Team Replay or you missed part of it, you can go back through, check the description, and there's chapters now. So definitely let us know what you think about that. I think this is a really, really awesome one that Rhonda threw out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can totally relate to that. I always make comments how, though, it is kind of cool because, like, there's no line in the women's restroom and the men have to all wait in line for once. I love it. But yeah, I think so. When there's always a smaller population of women, but if you can find the right communities and meetups and conferences, there is more women that I'm seeing that are going. There's lots of women here, but the men still far outnumber us. But we're working on that. Bathroom situation is great, though. I love it.
I used to kind of have that same when I was younger because there was no black people when I first got into tech. So I kind of felt like I was a little, but you know, I got a big personality now. So I'm like, what up, people? So as I get out, I'm like, so I think, but that was more my hang up than the people's hang up, to be honest, once I got in there. And now everybody kind of knows me as Uncle PBO, so I don't have that problem anymore. So I have the opposite problem. People are scared to come up on my platform because they're intimidated. Like, PBO is very nice.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, PBO is very nice.
Yeah,
it's not the throat punches.
Yeah, he only punches people we don't like. But let's see. There's some good questions in there, Chris. I'm gonna wait till you hit them, though.
I relate to both of those.
Yeah.
The women one and the black man ones. Well, not man part, but.
So in regards to this this question here about the female only and it's just awkward, one of the things I was also going to throw out there is that inside of the Simply Cyber Discord server, there is a Women in Cyber channel as well, and there's a list of like 10 or so different community groups that are focused around like women in cybersecurity as well. I think that's extremely important because the percentage is roughly 20% now of women in cybersecurity? Or
I do want to point out, though, one thing is that this Study GRC board is majority women. So winning.
It's based off of skills and nothing else.
Facts. What was I going to say?
Come back.
But yeah, so that's one of the big things that I like is, and that I would also look out for, but also seeing more of that engagement. So it's also like here at Wild West, like I would say that it's a good, you could visually see that it makes up that 20% of the industry as well. So as far as like the women who attend and so forth, and that's just a growing number for that in particular.
Oh, yeah, no, it's great. Say, a group I handle a lot is it's ran actually by a black woman, Women in Linux. Shout out to Big Homie Tam. That's a great org. So you can definitely go check out Women in Linux, ran by Tam. She's doing big things over there. Her specialty is Kubernetes. So I'm trying to go over there and give me a little Kubernetes knowledge. So shout out to Tam, Homie Tam.
There you go.
So.
And then I think this is one of the questions that PBO was talking about. So, So Jeffrey asked, do you think auditors should give directions on how to resolve vulnerabilities in a client's environment? Or should you, or just tell them what the vulnerabilities are and let them figure out how to resolve them?
Well, I'll go first and I'll let PBO take over because he's going to say the correct answer.
Yours is correct.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'll put it out there. As an auditor, we take the criteria and we check your current situation and say yes or no. In my job, I'm allowed to offer recommendations. Maybe you can do it like this, or can you think of a way to help it make it better so that I can put it in the report that you're going to fix it and not leave it kind of all janky. But it's not really my job. I can offer you something if I want. For my job, I actually sort of have to. I'm supposed to give recommendations, but at the same time, I can also just encourage them to come up with their own. We're going to do this to fix it. We'll do this to mitigate it. We'll do this to handle it, and we'll get it done by this date or this quarter of this year. But honestly, my job is not supposed to give you recommendations. I'm allowed to.
Is that your internal or external clients?
I'm an internal auditor.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. Not that I'm disagreeing with you. And she's 100% right. My only slight pushback to that is when I'm dealing with external clients, I have to be careful because if I recommend something and it breaks, now I'm responsible for what I recommended.
True.
And people love point fingers. So I tell people, if you need me, I have a possible solution. And I tell them, it's not my solution. You have to own the solution, young man.
Right.
So I can assist you. I know how to test. So I tell people, be very careful because I've been in a couple of meetings where PBO got blamed and I was in there with big eyes like, this dude just threw me on the bus and backed up. Go ahead, Chris.
So let me ask you. So then, is that a situation where you should provide them several options and then allow them to pick it, which also allows them to own that?
The favorite term I tell people, you got to read the room. If I have young people and they're hungry and I can see their eyes and they have no idea what I'm talking about, I usually offer up multiple solutions. I can see some people, you can read them. I'm like, this dude is looking for somebody to blame. His timeline is effed up. So you got to kind of read the room. I just want to put it out there because PBO been run over by a couple buses in his 30s. So sometimes you got to learn the hard way. Like, well, he recommended it. I'm like, I did, but you didn't even configure the way I told you to, right? So you got to be very careful on that. Like I said, I love being helpful. I got a lot of experience, but like I said, especially when clock's ticking, especially when they put this stuff, old term, with baling wire and it's brittle code, they looking for somebody to blame. And as Space Tacos in the hood term, I'm not the one.
I'm the one.
I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Go ahead, Chris.
I think we did you have anything to add on this one, 8-bit or B-dubs?
I'm just I'm laughing a little bit because I've done a lot of network engineering roles, and a lot of times whenever something goes down, blame the network guy. That always happens.
The funny thing though is, true story at DoD, this guy blamed the network team, and it was a big project. Then the commander over the network says there would be no network changes for the last week because I'm not letting the team blame anybody. So we was shut down. We got shit to do, but that dude blamed the network team. So the commander at the top says no network changes the last week. So because he noticed what team kept blaming the network guys, and they were like, that's bullshit. So they just said no network changes unless it's like top security and you need to patch. So at the end of the last week, because in the old days, everybody put their releases at the end of the month. Last week was no network changes. So it's like, we got to figure out something else to blame on that one.
Straight facts.
Facts.
Sounds about right there. And then there were a couple other things here too. So first of all, I wanted to go ahead and pull this up. So female up on the panel on Fridays for jaw jacking. Space Tacos, just let me know and I'll send you the link.
I am at work. I cannot jaw jack.
Yeah, so on that, I have been trying to get on jaw jacking. The only thing stopping me from being up there is work.
And so that's why I wanted to.
I'm with you.
Well, and so that's why I wanted to address this. Is it's the fact of just trying to get the people available to come up on the panel, and that's what we're actually trying to do. So if you guys know somebody in the community who has the time available during that period of time, reach out to me, reach out to one of the mods. Like that's something we really do want to work on as well, because it would give a much better insight, and that also relates to like the previous comment from Rhonda about awkwardness or otherwise. So yeah, it's definitely something I just wanted to mention there real quick.
I mean, it would still be 3 or 4 to 1, but yeah.
If I was available, I would be up there every single Friday. I'm just not available. I can't do that one. I'm watching sometimes in the background, but most of the time I struggle to even watch it because of work. So
yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, people have work and everything else, especially during that time of day. So yeah. And then there was also this one here too. So Brexy mentioned the Canadian CISO forum a couple days ago had at least 40% women. I just wanted to mention, like, I think that's awesome.
Cool.
Like the industry-wide statistics just don't seem that high yet. So it's getting there. Like I've seen some numbers at like 26% or so, but still underrepresented. So, but we're getting there.
It's definitely growing, but what? What happened? Who said what? Space Tacos. Are you okay? Oh.
No, Rhonda's talking about rocking a beard. I saw that Space Tacos too. Rocking a beard. Shout out to Beard Gang.
Yeah.
Well, because my comment said, a girl with the bearded boys, and she's like, I can rock a beard.
Shout out to the 40%.
Yeah. So I think that's awesome and so forth, and that's definitely increasing the numbers. I would just like to see that more on the global or international scale. Yeah, that was the next one I was going to pull up.
Yeah.
So jaw jacking. So that is held through Simply Cyber, and so that's where Study GRC actually originated from, the original study group, and then we branched off. And so I'm dropping it in chat right now. So simplycyber.io is the main website. You could join their Discord server, or also the link is in the chat now. And so every single morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time, Jerry goes through and does a daily cyber threat briefing. So he goes through different news articles, and there's like 400 people who watch every single day in chat. And he just gives his hot take on the news for that morning, giving his insights and knowledge and so forth. And then there's a lot of like chit chat in the comments and so forth as well. He does firesides on Thursdays and all kinds of other things within the community itself. So highly recommend to check that out. And so on Fridays, what happens is the daily cyber threat brief is an hour each day, followed by about a half hour of jaw jacking, which is just more open forum Q&A, AMA kind of style thing. Mm-hmm. Which on Fridays we have a panel where multiple people come up rather than just one individual.
Thanks.
So to break that whole thing down, and definitely hop into that Discord server, ask questions and so forth. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm in there. There's a ton of people in there, so I usually try to. A lot of times Chris hit me with the act, and I have to go find it because I'm old and I'll be struggling. But I usually find.
Yeah,
that's why they put all your notifications in one spot.
They trying to help me, but I still be struggling. Go
Depends
ahead.
on what time zone you're in, 8-bit.
Yeah, it's 8 a.m. Eastern time. So 8 a.m. Eastern time. I know it's 7 a.m. Central, which is where I'm typically located. So,
but jaw jacking is at 9 Eastern, not 8.
Yeah, because it
takes
an hour. Yeah.
All I know is I get my kids, put them in the car, put on my phone, put it down there, start listening, drop my kids off, and then I'm on my way to work. And so I'm just listening the entire way.
Yeah, and then
part of the morning routine.
So we're coming up to our 2-hour mark. So we have gone for 3 or 4 hours in the past, and so we started trying to keep it to as close to 2 hours as possible. Space Tacos and PBO over here, get burned out a little bit. If you guys do have any questions, drop them.
Years old.
Hey, I'm not blaming you. Drop them in chat.
No, you're 10 plus, right?
And I get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
That's why you need to get up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm this many.
I am 100,000 years old.
No, you're 10 plus years old. That's all you need, 10 plus years.
Yeah, so you guys can also catch us in Discord. I dropped that in chat. And then this is last call for getting your weekly badge for the GRC Mafia, which is also in chat, which you get that inside of our Discord server. And then did you guys want to comment on this question here?
I'll go. I work on site all 5 days.
Boo.
I have an option to work one telework day, but I choose not to because the computer I was teleworking from went and there's no substitute here among the collection. So, but also I like working at the office partly because the Starbucks is right next doors, and so is my favorite taco place around the corner.
And I am remote.
Shout out to B-Dub.
That's all I have to say about that.
I vehemently disagree with Space Tacos. I'm 100% remote. I am never going back in the office unless I'm violently fired and have no other option.
Funny. Well, I'll add this: if I lived somewhere different, I would probably enjoy remote. But my job actually wants us there 4 days a week.
So I'll figure it out. I'm staying remote.
That's
if something happens. It's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, I left the state because they were trying to get me to come in, so that's one reason I left the state.
That's fine.
They offered me a job. I was like, I'm talking to the third person like I'm an athlete. PBO was not going into the office. PBO was not going in the office. But two is I'm a little older. Two is to be honest now, I just do kind of straight paperwork, do my assessments, get on a team's call, pump them up, and tell them, let me know if you need anything from me. I'm here for you. Then I just disconnect. So I don't. When I was younger, I used to go to different teams, go to different meetings. One thing I hate with a passion that I was doing for a while till I got my new job is development teams love stand-up. I'm like, why y'all got me in this stand-up meeting for an hour talking about zero from GRC perspective? But that's my 2 cents. So,
yeah, and so one of the things I do want to mention on this though too is that in person on site is going to have the least amount of competition as well. So especially trying to get into the industry, you may have better luck going to an on-site position than remote, just because there's so much competition on those remote positions that also the percentage of remote positions are reducing.
Yes.
So
a lot. Yeah.
It's unfortunate in my opinion, but yeah.
I think the pendulum's gonna swing back, but go ahead. Yeah, you're right, though.
Well, and I think what it really comes down to is like if you have experience already in the field, you are much more able to do those remote positions and get those roles. For entry level, you don't have any experience, then it's going to be a lot more difficult. Just something to keep in mind.
More difficult does not mean impossible. It is possible.
True. Yeah.
I got my first GRC role remote. It's possible.
Facts. I guess my only pushback, Chris, is when people reach out to me, they want me to go on site because I'm a senior to help the young people. I'm like, I don't like that decision. So a lot of times I get the opposite. You can come on site and lead the team. I'm like, PBO's leading nobody's team anymore.
There's plenty of training on YouTube.
Yeah, and the main reason why I try to throw that out there is because I know a lot of people who have been sitting around for over 12 months with no position because they're only applying to remote roles. 100%. And so, so just take it into consideration, especially if you're newer to the field. Like you may have to, take something, even if it's like if you can pull that off.
I'm shaking my head, Chris, because I agree with you 100%. If you're young and you're trying to get it, B-Dub is an outlier. That's what we call it. You need to take your butt to the office to cut out your competition. It's not might or should. Shout out to B-Dub. She's special. We know she very, very special to the GRC.
So special.
So special. But if you're trying to get in the game and you young or you don't have any experience, take your ass in the office. I promise you. If you can find it, that's going to help. It ain't a probable. It ain't a major. Once again, B-Dub is special. She's an outlier. Get in the office, and once you do that for a couple of years, then you can become PBO. Shout out to me.
Oh my God.
But if it is a deal breaker for someone who might have been in a similar position as me, it's not impossible, but it does take hard work. I burn my candle at both ends and in the middle. And it's not just applying to jobs. It's getting out to these conferences like Wild West and meeting people in your local community, being active in Discord, and putting yourself in the right rooms with the right people. So that's all it is. And applying to the jobs. And studying and learning and lots of candle burning.
Yeah, but like the jobs I got, over 200 people applied for them. Like I was getting to the last 3 interviews, and they're like, "Oh yeah, 300 people applied. You did well. You made it to the last 3." I'm like, "AKA, I'm still unemployed because you made it to the last 3."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I don't know. Go ahead, Chris. That's my 2 cents.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's great. And so this is probably going to be the last question for tonight. I did drop Space Taco's Discord and chat there for you.
Yeah,
and so there's a bunch listed in there. My recommendation on this portion is LinkedIn is kind of hit and miss, but also I've heard really good luck on Dice is one that I've heard is becoming more popular. So I would check that out.
I got a lot of spam from Dice.
Yeah, I've been on Dice. It's a lot of Indeed jobs send me back to Dice, so I'm kind of on my Indeed and LinkedIn. The last
I like Indeed.
4 jobs I got on Indeed. That they were remote.
I also like a personal recruiter.
Well, and like another thing I would recommend too is go to the actual career pages for these larger companies too.
Companies, yeah.
Yeah, because like Cloudflare, for an example, they have all kinds of like paid internship roles in the GRC realm all the time. That's a great opportunity, and a lot of these other companies do the same thing. So checking out the career pages is a great option. I don't feel like there's a go-to for GRC roles per se.
I don't either. I just try to hit a couple of them and go ahead.
Just filter.
Yeah, I'm gonna say LinkedIn because you can kind of do a little LinkedIn foo, like Google foo. So LinkedIn foo. I use LinkedIn as a search engine, and you can really if you understand how, you can really learn how to refine your results and find exactly what it is you're looking for. But do not apply on LinkedIn. Go find well, some companies, that's the only way, but find those jobs and then go to that company's page, do some OSINT, make sure the jobs are legit to save yourself from being scammed. And that's why I say don't apply on LinkedIn. There are some legit jobs on there, but I highly recommend if they have a website to go there. They typically have a career page with the job listed if it's a real job, and you can apply through there. I just use LinkedIn as a search engine. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't do that, but I see where B does.
Because I have seen people, I've witnessed people that I know get, oh, hey, here's an interview, and they start going through this process. It takes a lot of their time just to realize the job didn't even exist in the first place, which,
but that's not just
your own
LinkedIn.
Research, but no.
Yeah,
and that's
you got to be careful everywhere.
No, that's Dice, LinkedIn, everywhere. Always go to the company page. Absolutely. But I like the way you can search on LinkedIn better than you can other places, as well as, you can go to that company's site, see if you have any connections who work there that you might have a relationship with on LinkedIn, and, maybe reach out to them and see how they like their job there. All of those things. So I really like LinkedIn for searching.
I actually did that for this job. I contacted someone at the company and said, hey, how do you like it there? They're like, oh, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's real.
So Rhonda mentions the state job boards too. So the state of North Dakota and the state of Texas both have job boards, not only for privately owned companies, but also the state roles as well, which I find really cool. So
I love state roles. Real quick, Sierra Montgomery said, I'm almost 50. I'm almost 60. So I'm right there. There's one more. I know Chris trying to shut it down.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah. No, I was just scrolling back up to it. You're fine.
Oh, yeah. Then my man on said, PBO, not even hybrid, homie. I'm just comfortable. Like I said, I've been in the game a long time. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say the only exception of that is if you get one of those, what is it, L6 AWS roles, then PBO is going in an office suit and tie.
The story behind that, I got a big interview with AWS. I think we looked it up. It was making like $380. You got $75,000 bonus. So for that, I would go in the office, right? So once this recession's over, I might try to work with AWS or Azure, try to get one of the big bang jobs and try to make a shitload of money real quick because I'm about to retire. But go ahead.
Right. And then now as we come to an end here, so Space Talkers, you have final remarks?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's so valuable and useful, and I look forward to talking more with people about your guys' learning styles as well as we all go through and learn that portion. Because like I just did mine during that presentation, and I got to dig into that myself. B-Dubs, final remarks?
So if you don't already know, I do have a blog. There will be a new one coming out every Monday morning. Your guess is as good as mine right now. I'm at Wild West. But I have a new it's coming Monday morning. We're gonna be all excited together about it. And I have a newsletter too if you enjoy my blogs and want to see it in your email. Other than that, we'll see
The
you in
only part that
Discord.
the only part that you missed there is that it's completely free and no strings attached,
yes.
no paywalls.
100% free. I'm not using your data to pay for the cost. Yes.
You don't even have to register if you don't want to, but
you don't have to register. I don't need your information if you don't. It's just a convenience thing. So if you want it in your inbox, if you don't, then my feelings aren't hurt. So it's just it's out there. It's an option.
I really enjoyed it. Once again, I kind of learned my learning style, but Chris keeps trying to get me to go into study groups and break my learning style. So, but really enjoyed that. Go ahead, Chris. Was you going to chat? So no, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was already going to chime in because I think if we figure out your learning style, then we can get that CISSP study group together.
Thanks. Let's go.
I'm an only child, so I don't play nice with others, but that's a whole different. That's
we already know that, PBO.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But they gave the shout outs. Go check out Space Tacos Discord, Study GRC, Simply Cyber. Those guys know if you at me, I'll come and answer a specific question if you need me. That's the panel at the top. I work for those guys, so you can easily find me. That's all I got, man.
And I dropped PBO's YouTube channel in the chat as well. So he live streams every night on Tuesdays. So what is it, 9 p.m. Eastern?
Late night with PBO? Yep. Late night with PBO.
After hours with PBO every Thursday night or every Tuesday night. And then 8-Bit, any final remarks?
I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to see everybody. I'm not online very often, but I'm going to try to participate more in the online community like I used to. It's just it's great seeing everybody here. And Tacos, you did an amazing job. I'm happy to hear you speak a lot more too. But yeah. But I want to try to get into study sessions again, and I want to try to learn more. My current role where I'm at now, I've been doing a lot of work, and I just think it's time for me to start trying to get back in the online community again and just participate more.
Yeah, and I want to add that I'm really excited to see 8-Bit here and getting more involved because we actually hang out at our local meetups, and so I can vouch he's real. He's not like AI sitting over there or anything. So yeah. It's good to see you here.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah, I got to meet B-Dubs in person. I think about 7 months ago at DHA, the Dallas Hackers Association.
Yeah, I got to get back over there. Life's been
a while
lately, but I'll be back soon.
No, I hear you. And then I also participate in the North Texas Cybersecurity group as well as DC. Was it DC 214? I don't go to that one very often.
DC 214 and DC 940.
940, yeah, which is out in Denton. But other than that, I mean, probably more North Texas. I know me and you talked about it briefly, B-Dubs, but maybe like a nice cybersecurity group closer to us.
Maybe you never know.
Yeah.
I'm selfish. I don't want to drive all the way to the big city.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I drive to the big city every day. So.
Yeah. So thank you to everybody who was able to join us tonight. I just want to go ahead and end on the fact of, community built, community driven. So this is all built by everybody. Thank you all for your guys' time tonight. Great questions that we went through. Amazing presentation by Space Tacos. And then we'll see you guys tomorrow. So 11 a.m. Central for a 1 hour AMA open stage as well. So every single Friday. And catch you guys then, GRC Mafia.
Cheers.